And I kind of hit this point in my life and career where I was doing really well, but I didn't feel like I was changing the world. And I just had this break where I was like, it's time to go figure this out on my own. If I liked the old systems, I would be playing over there. Like, I don't like them. I don't think they're doing what this world needs. So instead of focusing my energy there, it's like, no, you sit over here. I'm coming to build something new. If I'm forced to have a goal, it's changing the entire face of the globe in special education and making sure that every single parent navigating that journey is supported.
Welcome to the Founders Clinic, where we talk to founders and the C-level using innovation to build a better future. Stay tuned for inspiring stories, real challenges, smart wins, and practical insights. We hope this clinic helps you grow, heal, and thrive on your own journey. Welcome everyone to your favorite clinic, the Founders Clinic. Today, I have a really special guest, Jillian Bichanich, who is the founder and CEO of both Cubbi and Pocketchange, companies that are at the intersection of innovation, positive impact, and scale design. Jillian, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Really appreciate your time. Let's start with the basics. Who do you serve? How do you serve them?
Yeah, absolutely. So my entire founder journey really began with Cubbi. Cubbi is an app that helps parents and families who are navigating the special education system. A lot of that is really tough on families. They don't have a lot of resources. They have tons of documentation, meetings, tasks, team exchanges that need to happen, and there wasn't something that existed to support them. And so my co-founder over on that journey, she had to navigate this experience herself. And I saw one of the strongest women I've ever met go through really difficult things. So we decided not to leave any other family members behind and create Cubbi for parents that needed it.
Wow, that's an incredible story. And is there anything additional there on the inspiration on how it came to be?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story, actually. Christine, my co-founder, so when I met her, I was working for a different company that worked on startup tech. So we were really a custom dev shop that would take on a lot of projects. And my CEO and the management team at the time, they really didn't believe in the project. They didn't believe in her and what she was able to do. So I actually asked if I could, on the side, like help her navigate really the tech space, the finances, the strategy, the business side. She's absolutely incredible understanding families and what they have to navigate and the resources over there. But, we ended up coming together, ended up not being with that company anymore, so we could go all in on Cubbi. And it's been like the most incredible and challenging ride, but it's been wonderful. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I can imagine. I believe that when you are able to connect that sense of purpose, those challenges feel even more grateful for. So that's incredible. And Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background as well? I saw, from what we have been speaking, you are like in 4 or 5 different ventures, all trying to really have a positive impact in the world. I think that's something very inspiring to hear.
Thank you for seeing that. Thank you for seeing that there's a common thread. So my entire background, I pretty much got thrown into the tech space right outside of college. So I had 3 college degrees in the weirdest things. I had English literature, European studies, medieval studies, and somehow I landed a job before all of my friends. So I actually went into a tech company who paid for the project management degree that I had. And then I eventually also went on to get my MBA. But in that entire process, for quite a few years, I was working out of Silicon Valley and pretty much just ground level startups. So I either came in really, really early, or I ended up being the right hand, the COO of many companies, really creating divisions and verticals from the ground up. And I kind of hit this point in my life and career where I was doing really well, but I didn't feel like I was changing the world. And I just had this break where I was like, it's time to go figure this out on my own, go take all of these skills that I've cultivated and do something really meaningful. Or not. There wasn't an in-between. So I had a lot of job offers come in, a lot of really cool titles and money. And I was I feel like I just kept swatting it all away to stay really focused on what I, cared about. And now we're here. So I have a few projects, Cubbi, that you mentioned, that is for parents. Pocketchange is launching soon, which is an app that allows consumers to buy based on their values and really support good companies that are trying to do good in this world. And then I'm also the executive producer of a podcast called The Flying Felon, which is all about redemption stories, and celebrities and A-listers are coming on the show to really talk about how public scandal or hard times in like the public really took them down and what they've done to rebuild. So I think it's my mission ultimately to help people find humanity again, like remember we're humans and that the human experience is really difficult. And when we can come to it with kindness and love and compassion and empathy, we really let everyone rise, including ourselves.
Wow, that's incredible. And you said something that really connected with me. And I swear to all our listeners that this was not a stage. We did not practice this, but you were very comfortable in your whole life. And then you have this breakthrough of, wait, I need to do something for humanity and connect with a bigger purpose. And that actually happened to me as well a bit away. My background is management consultant. I was a management consultant at one of the biggest companies and management consulting in the world, almost a decade there. And I hit that breakthrough, like I was very comfortable in my comfort zone. And I said, there must be something else there. I should chase something higher that helps humanity, a bigger sense of purpose. And thus why this podcast started and everything that came with it. So really connected with that you mentioned there.
That makes sense why we're here then, right? Like, I feel like people find each other that have some of those kind of similar threads. And I don't know about your side of that, but like, I don't know if I even really thought of it. I was just like committed. I'm going to be committed to doing something good. But it was a hard journey. Like, it still is a hard journey, to come through this entire space. And I think that I grew up in a time where I was watching like Disney princesses and good always wins. And like, you lose a shoe, you find the love of your life. And it's like, no, you throw yourself in the trenches to get out on the other side in a space where you're doing good and you're embracing that. But it was a really difficult journey in terms of finances, strategy, like finding the right people to support you. Just navigating all of that was a lot. It was a lot to take on. Yeah.
It is a lot. Like I will say it's a really roller coaster. And as you mentioned, like it's a lot to take on, but I believe that when you have that vision of a higher purpose, it makes it easier, or at least it makes worthwhile versus the status quo or versus staying where you were. And I believe that when one looks back at the different decisions or moves that one has done, there is almost always 1-2 things that one can differentiate that really make a huge difference towards success. Like what you mentioned, there are a lot of challenges and it's a roller coaster, but some key decisions makes you closer to that success. Has there been any 1 or 2 key decisions, key moments, key pivotal times that you can connect and that enabled your success?
Yeah. So I think to kind of come into this first, there's just a larger point that I think keeps me in focus, and that's been trusting my intuition. Like, I trust myself at all points. If we've gotten in a meeting with an investor and there's something off, it took me a long time to get to that space where I could release the good girl who's trying to make sure everyone, feels nice and like, oh, I'm always sure I'll take every call. I'll do, like, no, I don't do that anymore. Like, now it's very aligned, right? Like, if people come in and I feel good energy, I see what they've done, they've proved themselves, they showcase that they are someone who's also trying to do good, I will give time all day long. I help founders, I help other businesses, I receive support from people. But I think that a long time ago, I think that we were really taught, to be professional in business, we had to act a certain way. We had to move through whatever process someone has or whatever flow. And me coming out of that was probably the best thing that I could do for all of these companies. Like, no rules. I'm not here playing by old systems. If I liked the old systems, I would be playing over there. Like, I don't like them. I don't think they're doing what this world needs. So instead of focusing my energy there, it's like, no, you sit over here. I'm coming to build something new. And whatever that new thing is, it flows in a very, very different way than typical society sometimes runs. And I'm okay with that. So that might not be like a very specific moment, but I think that foundation has been the backbone of many, many moments throughout all of these startups that have led us into, happier times, success, like just strategy clicking when it wasn't working before. It's just trusting that we can do things differently.
Yeah, I love that, and I believe it comes with intuition, as you mentioned, and also a sense of awakening, right? Which is, I believe, what happened a bit back to the both of us, and I believe that's also a big learning for any listener that may be in a path right now where they are in the traditional model and they have had this intuition telling them it's maybe not this way, it's maybe not how society makes you go and find your own path. Maybe that hopes or sparks a little bit of a flame so that they trust their intuition and go that other way, because it's challenging, as I have mentioned, but it's fun, and the personal, at least in a personal thought, it's worth 100 more times that following the default path if that's not something you want to do.
I completely agree. There's something I love to say. If you receive a vision, a lot of people around you are not going to understand it at all. They're going to think you're crazy. They might not understand the business model, whatever it might be. If those people were supposed to understand it, they would have received the vision. Like, it would have come to them if they were the person that was supposed to birth it out into the world. And so I just feel like when we get hit with that muse of inspiration, that inner voice, that's just as you said, it's kind of asking you, well, what if something looks different? Like, what if we do something different? What if we flow different? If we act different, if we make a decision that no one else understands? It might just be, it likely is, because you are supposed to lead the path and other people will follow. And I think it's more just really coming into tune with yourself and your own bravery and courage to say, I have to take a leap, or at least a baby step, to feel into what that could look like.
100%. I believe that when you also follow those baby steps or big steps, whichever you are taking, I believe that it's much more grateful. And just to inspire a little bit, is there anything recent that you are very proud of? Any big milestone, any win, or even small victories as well? I believe that we should celebrate all big and small victories. Anything that you would like to share?
Yeah. I have a couple. I mean, on the side of Cubbi, we are about to launch that we have changed our business model for the providers that come in. So we work with everyone from like sleep coaches to psychologists to therapists to nutritional, coaches, like adaptive dance centers, right? We work with all of these people that help support our families, and they pay a really nominal fee to be inside of our directory. And Christine and I have been able to come through quite a few different milestones where at first our app was paid for parents, and we were able to make that free. And then now with the providers, we're doing a pay what you can or pay what you want model, which we're really excited about because we've really wanted to make sure that we are accessible for people who are good at serving our children. And what we found in a really beneficial way is there are very large companies who want to come sponsor our cause in massive ways. And then we also have people who are maybe doing side work and who are wonderful with children and have so much to offer, but they might not have as much of a business budget. So being able to come in and pay what someone wants or what they can, and what they can to support this, I'm really, really proud of that, because I just feel like we are opening the gates for people to be sovereign in their own being and understand what they can give and what feels aligned for them. And then, of course, I have Pocketchange launching in just a couple of weeks. That's been a year of labor of love behind the scenes. That's been completely bootstrapped, which really means like every consulting gig I could take, like just throwing it back into Pocketchange. So yeah, I mean, it's been a year of really, really hard work. And I feel like we are really starting to reap the benefits and seeing lives change. And the point that you keep making that I echo is there is nothing like it. Like, there is nothing like seeing people be successful or have easier lives or make a few extra dollars they wouldn't have, or their children like sleeps through the night or navigates a anxiety breakdown or whatever it might be, because we get to like have a small part in making that change. And I would not give that up for literally anything. And it actually just makes me keep doubling down on all of the things that I'm doing.
Wow, that's incredible. That's very, very inspiring. And yeah, I believe it always comes to that part of impact and scaling that impact. And as we have talked a little bit before, there are challenges, right? Not every journey is easy, as we have mentioned a couple of times here in the conversation. Is there anything that you would like to share and that others can relate to? Maybe a challenge that you are navigating through right now, just to normalize the fact that every founder has some challenges, and I believe that the more we talk about them and we support as a community, the easier it will be to navigate through them.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge that I think happened for us around when we started Cubbi, when we founded Cubbi, but even that I'm navigating now in a little bit of a different way, has really always been around funding and the VC world. And the reason that I bring that up is because there's kind of these two, I feel like it's like when they talk about like the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other, it's like there's these two battling places within my strategic mind that say, if I had a significant amount of money right now, what I would be able to do is nuts, right? And then there's the other side, which says, when you go down that investment path, your life as a founder becomes so ingrained in receiving and getting and obtaining funding money. And then even when you have that investor, and this is not to be against investors in general, but this is just what I have seen from my experience, when you get in that place, I've seen a lot of incredible founders that were mission-based, mission-backed. All of a sudden, their North Star started to be what would keep their investor happy. And it no longer was, what is the mission that we're accomplishing? Or what family do we help today? Or what change do we make in this world? It was, are they happy with their money investment? And do we look good doing it? And every single thing about that feels so wrong to my soul. It is such a difficult thing to navigate. When we were building Cubbi, we went down the investment route for quite a while. Like we were really looking that way, and nothing was panning out. The partners they just weren't good fit. We weren't finding the right people. We didn't have the right connections. The day that we decided that we were no longer going to take investment on, and we threw ourselves all in on our customers, on our clients, on influencers, marketing, like people that cared about what we were building, that's when we finally got out of the hole of like everything being so difficult. And we started to see these small increments of success. And when it came to Pocketchange on the flip side, right from the get-go, because of everything I had learned with Cubbi, I was like, I'm just going to figure out how to bootstrap this. Like I was in the worst financial state of my entire life. I had given up all of my salaries, like right, all of my high paying, like typical 9-to-5 jobs were out the window. And I felt immense pressure and guilt for my family because I had been bringing in all this money. And now I was like, no, like everything I bring in, you have to trust me. Like this is going to be big. I have to keep feeding this because anyone can go work for a 9-to-5. You have security. You understand where your money's coming from. And I get that. And I am not opposed to people who feel good about that. But I feel like this switch flipped on for me. And every part of my body was like, you can never do this again. Like you are never going back to that. So you have to figure it out. Like there's no plan B. You figure it out and you go. But even today, it's sometimes hard because you have brilliant ideas that you're launching. And I sit there and I'm like, someone could come out, what it took me a year to do behind the scenes, someone could come out in 2 months now with like, vibe coding and everything else that exists in AI and come out with 2 million, go crazy, and it could put me out of business. So I always just come back to that space where I have to trust my gut. I have to trust that the movements behind what I'm building are far bigger than myself and know that the right people will come in to support it in the best ways. And if investment is taken on in the future, that it's fuel on something that already has a really good foundation, not something that can be shifted based on a change in priority because of someone else's energy coming into it.
I totally understand you. Thank you for sharing. That's very, very deep. And I believe that that path of VC versus bootstrap is a decision that a lot of founders normally have to take. And it's not good or bad to go one way or the other, as you mentioned. It just comes with different levels of challenges. Something that I always recommend is either way, inclusively, regardless of either way, but I think it's especially relevant for the VC one because you are starting to scale much faster. And scaling brings complexity. And when complexity comes in, it's easy to forget that North Star because you start focusing on other KPIs. So something that I typically recommend and that used to work very well as a management consultant, it's when you are defining the strategic vision, whether you do that once a year or whatever the time is, start with the definition of the purpose and the ambition, or the redefinition or reconnection, whatever you want to call it, of the purpose. And see it with your most trusted advisors. Try to have also people that is in the front line, that is actually talking with clients, and sit and ask why. Why are we here? Beyond just the monetary, beyond just the growth, why are we doing this? What inspires us to come to work? And let everyone write their own why, and then share it back, and then build that purpose statement if you don't have one, or reconnect or reshape it a little bit if you already have one. And more importantly, for it to not just be left as a cool slogan or a nice slogan, truly connect it and build an operating model that connects it with every decision you take, and truly remind everyone on why we are here. And that's a way in which you can stay in touch with that North Star while also scaling, because it's difficult. It's a difficult path.
I love that. I love that so much, because I think when people come to the table, everyone has that in their mind, right? Everyone has like, oh, what are we doing here? But then as you continue to build and shift and change and move and all the things happen, I think to your point, like it starts to just be in the background. So I love that exercise. That's great.
That's amazing. That's great. And looking forward, what do you see? Where do you foresee Cubbi in the next 6-12 months? What's the vision right now?
With Cubbi, this is like the worst business advice. Like, I understand this, but with Cubbi, we have been actually, this is like my one strategic thing I would leave everyone to. Mm-hmm. I say it all the time. I think everyone thinks I'm nuts, and I'm totally cool with that. I think it's be open to miracles. But really, when I say that, what I really mean is there have likely been so many seeds that you've planted throughout your entire founder journey, right? Seeds with, whether it's investors or sponsors or clients or, I don't know, branding, like potential team members. There are likely conversations that you've had, people that you've met that you've been able to bring in to your experience, your story in some way. And I think always being open that the universe, that God, like whatever you believe in, can bring something to you that completely changes or amplifies or expands the trajectory of what you expect. So I know everyone in the world is like, you have to have a goal, because if you don't have a goal, you don't know where you're going. Well, if I'm forced to have a goal, it's changing the entire face of the globe in special education and making sure that every single parent navigating that journey is supported. It's not like 1,000 users or $1 million. It's like, no, every person. That's my goal then. If I need to have one, my goal is to touch every single person that needs help. Pocketchange, same thing. Like, give me every underrepresented founder, every community, every builder that's doing something of value in this world, and let them have all of the money shift over to them, where we completely flip the world's economy on its head to support businesses doing good, because we know that those people then support our individual communities that we live in. That's my goals. I don't know where we'll be, but that's where I'm aiming.
Wow, that's incredible. I don't believe any comment can top that, so I will just leave it at there. Because that was amazing. I think it's going to be very, very inspirational. Let's wrap up with a few rapid fire questions. Let's keep it short, sharp, and tactical. What's one book or resource that you would recommend to any founder?
So I knew you were going to start here somehow. I'm like, okay, like this is coming. I have thousands of books. I feel like I would be cheating on one book to say everything else. There is a few really good ones. There's one I think it's called Unreasonable Hospitality. Mm-hmm. It's actually about the like hotel world, but how that kind of client experience seeps in elsewhere. There's actually, for just like a regular human being who's never launched an app before, there's this, I'm going to have to, of course, get you the title. I'm like, do I have it somewhere? It's literally called like Launching Apps 101, something just so random and basic, but I will tell you, it's actually a really solid resource to understand all of the different pieces that you may not be thinking about, especially if you're trying to go the phone, app direction. But honestly, outside of that, I would say like a ton of my favorite business strategy books or founder books are fiction, and they are in like crazy realms of fantasy land or whatever else, because I think founders actually consume so much information on the daily from LinkedIn, from newsletters, from books, from advisors, that I think a lot of our best work happens when we get out of that kind of logical mindset and we allow ourselves to step out of our brain, out of the thing that's just going 24/7, and we allow ourselves to play a little bit. And I feel like when I do that or I meditate, that's when like other energy comes up and through. So take that for what it's worth.
I really like that. Yeah, and I haven't thought about that one, but it makes a lot of sense, like you are always fed the same information and everything is structured and everything is business and it's part of the game. So it's fine. But yeah, sometimes you need to fly to other worlds and let imagination comes. And, actually, as you mentioned it, sometimes when I'm reading fantasy, best ideas come, like have to stop and I start connecting the dots and then a big idea comes. So I love that. And the first one you mentioned also, because sometimes it's important to get back to the basics and just, I always say this to my wife, and I would say it's important sometimes to rediscover that the waters get you wet. And some of the best advice that I get are things that I already knew, but I needed someone to tell me again. And it's like, okay, yes, this is basic. I need to be doing that. What's one trend that you are genuinely excited about?
I actually really love AI. I do. I think it gets such a bad rap. But I'm not as concerned about AI as tech. I think that the things that we need to be conscious of as humans is how we train the AI. Like, who is behind, what is AI amplifying? What is AI building its base on? And are we feeding it things that help impact the world and help the world grow in equality and like betterment across our healthcare systems, across our education, across business, across the earth, and how we can take care of it? Like, I think there's actually so much benefit that comes through AI and everything that we're doing there. I just think we need to make sure that that's handled with care by the right people.
It's how you focus on ambition, what the tool enables you to do. What's one AI tool with that? What's one AI tool or platform you cannot live without right now?
I would love to act like I have some like brand new something everyone needs, but ChatGPT and me are like bonded. Not in a scary way. No one freak out. But like, just I appreciate ChatGPT very much. It's what gets me through my day in many ways, from like planning meals for my family, right? Like helping me with things that allow me to actually be more integrated into my business, helping me with workout plans. Like that still is my go-to. I guess I'm like an OG, an OG girl on that.
Most of people actually say GPT, and personally, I think I would say it as well. Like, it's, again, back to the basics, because it's nothing to do with basics. But yeah, sometimes though, the simplest ones are the ones that are the most useful. What's one thing that you wish you knew earlier in your journey?
I think a lot of my life, I either felt small or played small. I kind of go in between. I think that, I was the girl that had like talks too much written on her report card all the time. And academically, I was top of my class consistently. But I think somewhere along the line, I kind of learned to tame down my brilliance. Or when I would be in a room of like 13 other men in a conference, like a conference table, and they would mistake me for being like an admin assistant or whatever, which I started there, like no disrespect to that, but that's not the role that I was taking at the time. Like, I think there was a certain part of me that was, I feel like I had to be a little bit more calculated in when I would say things and how I would say them. And it's funny because like my partner, my friends, actually my best friend just moved here from Connecticut and her daughter is 19 and she's like, oh my gosh, I love Jillian. Like, she's so spicy because now I like don't live with a filter anymore. Like, I'm not here trying to make sure that people accept me a certain way or hear me a certain way, or that I'm not too much or saying something that they don't agree with, or it's not the perfect time. Like, I feel so comfortable in who I am that the right people are here in my circle and care. And those that don't, very lovingly, like, can go find a table that they appreciate more. And so I think for me, I wish that a younger version of me would have known that, like, that would have known we didn't have to, placate or appease other people, and we were just able to like always be ourselves, right? Like unapologetically, because sometimes I wonder where I'd be if that was the case. But at the same time, I know I had to go through a lot to get here, and it makes that journey that much more special to me.
With society, sometimes it's difficult, and I think that's one advice that applies to any age and any stage in your life. So really like it. And what's something that you are very grateful for at the moment?
Time. I'm grateful for time. I especially over the last few weeks with all of these launches, I think I've been busier than I've ever been. And I've said out loud to people, like, I'm not wearing that as a badge of honor. I'm not the person that's like hustle culture. Let's make sure we're going till we die. But there's something that happens when I recognize the seasons of my youngest son is just a little over 2. And when he was born, like I've done all of this and also be a stay-at-home mom. So like I have this sense of just when you're in something, you be really present with it. Like you have to give it all of your energy and focus. And then when you shift to something else, be there. And so every half hour, like 10-minute window, whatever it is, whether I'm able to get out a few emails or go snuggle my babies or whatever it might be, I just feel really grateful. I feel grateful for time.
That's incredible. And focus, focus, focus. I cannot emphasize that more. Jillian, what's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, to follow your work at Cubbi, at Pocketchange?
Yeah, so it's cubbiapp.com or pocketchangethe.world. So both websites, you can go check us out, or you can download Cubbi today on your phones. Pocketchange is about to release very, very soon. Otherwise, I love hearing from people. Like, feel free to get into my DMs on LinkedIn and just come say hi. Like, I love meeting people that are going through journeys or feel inspired or whatever it may be. So yeah, I'm open everywhere.
Jillian, this has been an incredible conversation. I'm really, really inspired, not only by your vision, but by how you want to impact the world for humanity. So thank you a lot for sharing that. It has been incredible to be here with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm a big fan and I am excited to see where this podcast goes. So I appreciate it.
Thank you a lot. Bye-bye to all our listeners and stay tuned for the next episode next week.